Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a full solo playthrough of Robinson Crusoe Adventures on the Cursed Island. This is a notoriously difficult survival game, and you're going to want to stay till the end because things get absolutely crazy and an incredibly tense finish. I'm going to teach the game as I go and also give little tips and tricks to help you if you found the game too difficult. I also have a handful of house rules that improve the game in my opinion, so you'll definitely want to stick around to hear all of that. I'm going to be playing the scenario that I recommend for newcomers to the game, Scenario 3, Jenny Needs Help. You are castaways on a deserted island. Your situation very difficult, but look over there. There is one of your shipmates, beautiful Jenny, trapped on a lonely rock in the middle of the ocean. You need to build a raft and rescue her, and then you better hurry and build a boat to escape from this island. A hurricane is fast approaching. We need to accomplish two things in order to beat Scenario 3. The first thing is we need to rescue Jenny. She's stuck out there on the rocks. We need to build this raft and then take an explore action on the raft to go save her. At the end of every round, she's going to take 2 damage, and so basically in 5 days, she's going to die, and we'll lose the game. So we need to be able to construct this raft and save her by then. But that's just objective 1. The second objective is we then need to build this lifeboat and leave the island because there's a hurricane crashing down upon us. And we're going to be feeling the effects of that all throughout the game as our palisades just get pounded. You can see here this storm. Anytime we draw a book event from the deck, we're going to lose 1 palisade. Well, that's going to be a lot of wounds if we don't hurry up and build a shelter and start constructing those palisades because they're going to keep getting pounded by the winds. I've got everything set up. We have our 9 starting inventions, plus 5 at random, and some pretty interesting ones came out. A lot of things that need shovels, and normally I just skip making the shovel and I don't worry about it, but this game, look at this, the moat, the cellar, the pit, all need shovels. Maybe we think about actually making the shovel. You can see our 2 starting items came out at random, pipe and tobacco, which I love, so glad to get that one, and then the empty bottle, that's going to be useful. Now, there's a few ways you can play the game solo. There's actual solo rules where you can play with a single character, and then you have Friday and the dog helping you out. That's fine, but I prefer to play with 3 characters. That way you don't need the dog or Friday. You just play it as if it's a 3-player game. And I've marked that up there to show, to build the shelter or palisades or roof, it's going to take either 3 wood or 2 pelts, just like it would in a regular 3-player game. One of the things I love about this game is that it's so easy to run 3 characters. Now, if you have a keen eye, you'll see that this is the first edition of the game, and there's been a second edition with some changes. I'm not sure if there's been rule changes. I know there's been a ton of rule clarifications and things like that. I don't know any of that. I learned this game based on the first edition rule book, and that's pretty much all I know. So there's a high probability that I'm not necessarily doing things 100% according to the rules. Not only that, but I have a few certain things that I do that I enjoy. And the general rule is I try to play in a way that feels the most thematic to me. And in some cases, that's going to hurt and make the game a little harder. In some cases, it might help and make it a little bit easier. At the end of the day, I think it all balances out and creates a great experience. And so I'm not eager to change any of that. So just be aware that things may have changed, rules may have changed. I may have read that horrible first edition rulebook wrong and be doing things slightly wrong, but I think overall, you'll get the impression. Okay, I've been blathering way too much. Let's jump right in. If you don't know how to play, I'm gonna teach it a little bit as I go, so I think you'll be able to catch on. Let's just jump right in. Right off the bat, I'm not sure if this is against the rules or not, but I chose the Explorer for this particular scenario, and then I chose the other 2 characters at random. And not only that, I made sure that the Explorer was going second. I'm using this little doggy token for first player, so the Soldier is going to start as the first player, Explorer is going to be second, Carpenter third. Not sure if that's technically allowed in the rules, but I think you'll see why. This is a little variant that I do for this particular scenario. You definitely want the Explorer as part of your team. Now, one of the great things, this is one of the greatest gaming boards in all of board gaming, in my opinion. because the turn order is right here in the board. You just move top left, head right, you can see here, and it's all laid out perfectly for you. It makes it very easy to go through all the steps of a round. So the first step is the event phase. And at the start of the game, it's always this card, food crates. You stick it right here. It says, you notice food crates scattered along the shore. So now this is a spot that we can either send one person or one token to get a food, or if we put 2 tokens here, we can get a perishable food and a non-perishable food. Okay, step 2 is the morale track. It starts at 0, so our starting player doesn't have to gain or lose determination tokens. The third thing is production, and we produce whatever is on our camp tile. At the beginning of the game, we're here on shore, and we get a wood and a perishable food. And for your production, it goes straight into your available resources. And now number 4 is we get to put out our tokens on the various different actions. So right off the bat here, I'm going to give you probably my most important tip for doing well in this game. And that is to play thematically. We've just washed up on shore. It's chaos. We have all this stuff that we need to do. But what's the first thing that we're going to really want to make sure that we do? We're going to want to make sure that we arrange our camp, that we organize things, that we get things together so that we can be efficient. That would just be the natural thing that you do. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go to a spot that is often overlooked by new players, and that's the arrange camp spot. I'm going to send each of our characters one of their discs there. That's going to get us determination tokens, which are critical in this game, as well as, and maybe most importantly, moving that morale track up. Managing the morale track is job number 1 in this game. And for this scenario in particular, it's going to be difficult to manage that thing. So we want to get on that spot right away. Even though we have a million things to do, that is a critical first action, in my opinion. And now, to talk a little bit of strategy here real quick, as I said before, we need to rescue Ginny in no more than 5 days. Well, how do we do that? Well, we need to build this raft. So on day 5, we need to take an exploration action on that raft. On day 4, at the latest, we need to have constructed this raft. Well, what do we need to construct the raft? We need rope and wood. So that means on day 3, we need to invent rope. We need to have rope as an item. Well, how do we have rope as an item? The requirement of the rope is that we have discovered a plains or a grassland terrain. So that means on day 2 at the latest, we need to have discovered that particular type of terrain. And we don't know where that terrain is in this deck of terrain. That could be anywhere. We basically have today and tomorrow in order to find that location. That's how critical early exploration is for this scenario. Now, there's a couple of other ways that we can get the rope. If you look here, if we discover 3 locations that have this little symbol on it, the 3rd location will provide us with rope. So that is an alternative way that we could get rope. So we want to do some early exploration. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And we want to get that explorer out here and explore. The question is, do we want the soldier to also explore? Or come here and get some food? And now the other thing I'm thinking about is, do we want to build that shovel right away so we can hit some of these items? This pit is really cool. Look at that. During production, you get to roll this die, and if it comes up on a heart symbol, you just get 2 food. Now, that's not a heart symbol. That is from the expansion. We're going to be ignoring that sticker there. That's a mental damage from the expansion, which we're not playing with. But if we were to roll something like that, that would just be 2 food during the production phase. That's really cool. I'm kind of interested in that pit. I tell you what, I say let's have the carpenter go after the shovel. We're not going to worry about this food this round. Maybe we'll deal with it next round. And let's just try to get as much exploration out here as we can. Get that started. Maybe we'll get lucky. Okay, there. We've done all of our strategizing. We've placed out our tokens. So now we come down here to step 4. That was us doing our actions, and we're going to resolve them just from left to right here along this row. So we didn't put anyone here for these food. That's okay. We'll be able to do that next round. We couldn't do any hunting because we haven't found any beasts yet. You have to explore a little bit first. And now we come to construction. And we do have the carpenter trying to make the shovel. Now, because we only used 1 disc there, we're going to have to roll these dice to see if she succeeds. If you use 2 tokens, you can see here it says you can use either 1 or 2 tokens. If we were to have used 2 tokens, and you can even use another one of your characters to sort of assist. It doesn't have to be the same character's tokens. If you use 2, you don't have to roll these dice. You just automatically succeed. But we're doing a rushed job on these so that she can also do something else. And so we're taking a little bit of risk. We got to roll the dice. Not too bad. She hurt herself a little bit. She was rushing the job, doing kind of a sloppy job, ended up injuring herself a little bit. So we got to take 1 damage there. This V means she succeeded in creating the shovel. As you can see here, the prerequisite for building the shovel was the beach tile, which we've already discovered. That's why we can build this. We flip it over and we put it up there in the future resources. We don't have access to that shovel yet. We'll get access to it a little bit later. And we got a blank on this side, so we don't have to resolve an event. So that's very lucky. Okay, so we're done with construction actions. We did not do any gathering, and so we go now to an explore. We got 2 characters doing explorers on 2 different tiles. I'm going to have the explorer use one of these pipe and tobaccos. She's going to have a little smoke, and that's going to give her 2 determination tokens. And I tell you what, right off the bat here, let's just use both of those empty bottles and get our weapon level to 2. Might as well do it now. There's no reason to wait. And now, before she does this explore, I'm going to have her use one of her special abilities. She has something called Reconnaissance. She can discard 2 determination tokens in order to draw 3 island tiles, look at them, shuffle 2 back in, and then put 1 on top. That's going to help us cycle through these tiles and hopefully get to that grassland a little faster. So she's going to do a little reconnaissance before she just goes out and explores blindly. Oh, look at that. Well, that is super lucky. That is exactly what we need. These 2 are going to go back. We'll shuffle them. Shuffle back in. This one goes on top. And each of these special abilities you can only use once per round. So put a little marker there to show that she used it. Once again, we're only using 1 disc, so that means we got to roll. So let's see if the explorer can find that grassland. Oh, excellent. We got the exact same result. She takes a damage out there. It's a dangerous area, so she got a little injured, but she succeeded. She has discovered a grassland area and a bunch of other stuff. First of all, look at that. Found a beast. So what we do is we draw from the beast deck and we put it right here. We don't look at it. It's a secret. We just kind of have found sort of a area where some beasts are, but we haven't seen them yet. Then she found 3 of these discovery tokens. And I've got them in this cool bag here. So we just draw 3 at random. Ooh, first one. That's going to increase our weapon level. That's fantastic. Oh, you guys are going to think I'm cheating. I'm almost sad that happened because now everyone's going to think that I set that up somehow. That's the rope we need. Well, we found the grassland anyway, so that... Wow, okay. Well, what can you do? And, ooh, a treasure. Okay. I'm really not setting this up. Ooh, he found the grassland right away, and then he just happened to draw okay. I swear I'm not cheating. So we've had an extremely lucky start here. We really have. Well, okay. We found a treasure, so we get to draw from this deck here. It has treasures and traps and things. We're just going to keep drawing until we get to the first treasure. And it's right on top. It says, old clothes, a little smelly, but they still work. Keep this card from now on. Ooh, from now on, 1 snow equals 1 rain. Okay, that's probably not going to come in super useful for this scenario, because there may be snow. Sometimes cards will cause there to be snow, so maybe that'll come in handy. So I'm just going to remove that. This is the treasure. And we don't have any of these yet. Those all go into the future resource pile. And again, we did not roll a question mark, so don't have to have an event, so that's nice. Well, this could not have been more successful. I mean, that's fair. Don't worry, things will start going south here real fast. And now the soldier is going to do an exploration as well. So we roll. Okay. She didn't hurt herself, but she also didn't succeed. And when you fail to do something, you gain a little bit of determination. So she's getting 2 determination tokens for that. And she had an encounter. When you have an encounter, you draw from the particular deck. And this is where I do another little house rule. There's oftentimes a top and a bottom part to these cards. I'm going to cover up the bottom and not look at it. Frankly, this is how I really recommend that you play the game. This is the most thematic way to play the game. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, it says signs of fire. The whole area is wasted after massive fire. Cover 1 source on the tile you are exploring with a black cube. It is exhausted. If exploration was not successful, then put a black cube on the space you wanted to explore, and you must cover the source later. Okay. So this one didn't happen to have a bottom. That's just something that happens right now. So we'll just put a black cube here, and that means that when we discover something here, we'll have to cover up the source. There'll have been some fire there. Okay, that could have gone worse. That could have gone worse. And now we get to this spot right here. And we have each character doing this. Every character is going to get 2 determination, and we're going to get 3 bumps on the morale track. So now everyone's morale is high because we've got the camp all set up, and they're determined. They're determined to survive, and that's what we need. That's what we need to make sure that we maintain. A will to survive. The way you lose this game more often than not is your characters, they lose the will to survive. Their morale goes down and you get into this death spiral. And so we're going to try to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, so we have done all of our actions. And so now we come on here to the weather phase. Right now, we don't have any weather. You can see here, once we get to the 5th round, we're going to start rolling this really bad red die that's going to start causing all sorts of problems. But for right now, there isn't any weather to deal with, so we can move on. And now we go to the night phase. First thing that happens, we get these things. So we have these old clothes now. I'll just put them over... I'll put them over here. Sort of in the weather phase, because that will kind of remind us. And we got the rope token out of the discovery bag, which is crazy lucky. We now have this rope. And we have a bump on our weapon. We could save this, but I'm just going to go ahead and spend it to move up. So we now have a weapon level of 3, which is really great. We also have the shovel that we made. And now we can start marking off some of these conditions that we've met for some of these other inventions. So for instance, now that we have the rope, we can build, the carpenter can build her personal invention, which would be the snare. We can also mark it off here on the raft, so now we have that condition met. And because we have the shovel, we can invent all of these things. Since we discovered the grassland, we can do the cure. We have a lot more inventions that we could create, which is really cool. We're going to be sleeping outside because we have not built our shelter yet. We just have this camp, but we weren't able to build a shelter. So that's a problem. When you sleep outside, everybody loses a health. Okay. So our explorer and carpenter are down 2. Our soldier's only down 1. And now we have to eat. And we didn't go get food, so we only have this 1 food. We'll want to go ahead and eat it because it's perishable. It won't survive the night, so we might as well eat it. Well, I think I'm going to have our carpenter eat. So she's going to get to eat this food. She's fine. Everyone who doesn't eat has to lose 2 wounds. Or take 2 wounds, I suppose. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. So we slept outside in the weather, took some wounds, didn't really feed people very well, took a bunch of wounds, and Jenny, she's out on the rock in the middle of the ocean. She's taking 2 wounds as well. And there we go. That is the end of a round. We move up to round 2. The explorer becomes the first player, or the sort of the start player, the main player. And we cycle back around to the event stage.